Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2013 Hall of Fame ceremony here at the University of Pikeville. It's a great day for us here at this school. It's always a proud day. We have some tremendous inductees today, an honorary guy who we could not do without, that we will be speaking about later on today. And it is a terrific day for us here at the University of Pikeville. We'd like to welcome everyone back. If you will, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful that you brought us out here today, Father, and thankful for this school and all it means to us, dear Father, and all it means to this region. Lord, we thank you for everyone represented here today, Father. We ask your blessings on our inductees today, Lord. Let them know how much we appreciate the efforts that they put in as they represented our school here, dear Lord, at the best of their abilities. Father, these are some of the best we've ever had, and we ask your blessing upon them as they take what they learned here and carry it through the rest of their lives. Father, we ask you to go with us through this ceremony and throughout the remainder of this day. Be with us all, dear Father. And it's in Jesus' name we ask these things. Amen. And I'd like to welcome the athletics director here at the University of Pikeville, Dr. Reggie Overton.
Thanks, Rick. Rick always does a fine job organizing this, and my hat's off to Rick and to Robert Staggs and Stephanie Stuhler and Lucy Holman's individuals in her shop. I've been here 18 months, and I'm very impressed with what I've seen with Pikeville. I'm sure all of you were Pikeville College when you were here. Now it's University of Pikeville, so I'll let you slide and say, thank you know, the University Pikeville College is not fine you. We get fined if we say it, don't we, go? So we won't do that anymore. But thanks, guys. And I look out here and I see student athletes, I see parents, I see grandparents, young children, and it makes me proud. It shows that we're a family. And although as Governor Patton says, we've become big time now being a university, it's still a small school, and we instill those principles that we always have. We have champions of character now with the NAIA, and we're proud of what our student athletes do. And all the way around, the community is very supportive of our university. And it couldn't happen without the legacy that these young men have brought, and many Hall of Famers that are out in the audience. And I don't want to embarrass anybody. Most of the Hall of Famers are humble, except John Biery. I don't know where John's over here. I'm sorry. Can all the Hall of Famers stand up, please? Hall of Famers that are in the audience. I want you all to look around. Thanks for coming today. How many people are on our board of directors? Stand up. Any board of directors? Bill? Anybody else? Thanks for coming, Bill. Gov, you can help me with this. Is any city leaders or any local politicians here I need to recognize? I'm sorry if I failed.
See any up there.
Anybody? Okay. All right, we'll move right along. Again, thanks. It's been a great 18 months since I've been here. Hopefully we're doing things the right way. I've got a good staff. We've got a good camp up on campus. Gov's got some great vice presidents and people, and we're doing things the right way, I can assure you. And hopefully one day, if we can get, I can get out and shake the bushes and get some monies, we can get us a nice Hall of Fame room where we've talked about that, and we're still moving forward to that. And it'll be one of my priorities to get that done in the near future. So without further ado, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and recognize Nathan Kirk, Phillip Mosley, Rodrigo Puebla. Who else do we have here today? Chad Roberts and Mike Sheppard. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming in. And we'll have somebody to introduce you and talk about you a little bit and get you a chance to go up here and say a couple of words. Thanks, guys. Go. Governor Paul Patton.
Thanks, Reggie. And let me welcome you to this ceremony that's a very important part of the University of Pikeville. By recognizing these 5 individuals, we in fact recognize all of the individuals that have participated in our athletic program, which is a very integral part of our character development, developing the maturity of young adults and preparing them to move into a complex world and be successful. We think that athletics, done correctly, and I think we do it correctly here, can teach some real valuable lessons. It can teach us respect for authority. It can teach us to obey the rules. It can teach us to work just as hard as we possibly can work. And you know, if we learn those lessons on the field of competition, and then if we apply those principles to our life, we'll be successful, whatever we decide to do. That's what the role that we think athletics plays on the campus of the University of Pikeville. And we appreciate all of our current athletes for what you're doing to contribute to the life on campus. We hope that you're gaining that maturity and that ethic to work hard, that ethic to respect authority and obey the rules that are important to your development as an individual. So while we honor 5 particular individuals and have honored many in the past, others in the past, the fact is we're honoring all of you that contribute to the university through competitive athletics. So to our future, to our current athletes that are in attendance today, I'm confident that in the not too distant future, we'll have the opportunity to honor some of you in a similar way. So again, to each of you individuals on behalf of the university community, thank you for the contribution you made while we're here at the university. And thank you for the contribution you've made to the life in America since your graduation. Our heartiest congratulations to you. Also, in addition to the athletes that participate, supporters. We need supporters. And there's many here in this audience and throughout the community and throughout the country that have recognized the importance of athletics and the importance of the University of Pikeville. And it's okay to call it Pikeville College for you people that remember it that way. That my wife still does that. And certainly to the memory of Pikeville College is certainly vivid in the minds of a whole lot of people. But the supporters are equally important in us being able to bring our program to young adults. And one of our staunchest supporters, Mr. Buck Harless, not able to be here today. I don't know where Gary White was supposed to represent him, but I don't think Gary's in the audience. So let me, and I'll be visiting, James Hurley and I will be visiting Buck in the next week or so. He's just not in a position to travel this weekend, and we'll bring this award to him. But Buck Harless was instrumental in the establishment of the football program. Matter of fact, we wouldn't have had the football program without Buck's initial support. He was instrumental in the development of Valera Library. We wouldn't have the library we have today had it not been for the generosity of Buck Harless. He is a person that was an athlete in his prime and understands the importance of good athletic programs. So it is our honor to induct Buck Harless into the Hall of Fame as an honorary member. James Hurley and I will take the plaque to him later on this month.
Governor Patton mentioned James Hurley. He asked me to read a statement on his behalf today, and in it he will explain why he is unable to be here today. This is James's statement. As former athletes here at our institution, intercollegiate athletics is very important to both Tina and I here at the University of Pikeville. Today is a very special day for us at the university as we honor 5 tremendous student athletes and a friend of our school who has always been available for us to turn to. Former President Hal Smith used to refer to this day as the high cotton of our department. He was exactly right. However, our institution and our region lost a tremendous leader this week. Frank Welch was a teacher, a principal, and superintendent of the highest order, and his family has asked that I speak at his funeral. Unfortunately, it is being held at the same time as this ceremony. Tina and I would like to congratulate the inductees on their accomplishments and for representing our school to the best of their abilities. I look forward to meeting you at the game today. Go Bears. Now we will begin our inductions, I should say. We will begin with Mr. Nathan Kirk. My conversation with Mr. Kirk often centered around family as we prepared for this today, and he asked me if I would allow his son the honor of being the person to introduce him. So without further ado, Dr. Nathan Kirk.
It's with great pleasure that today I get to introduce my father. He grew up in eastern Kentucky, and after a stellar career at Matewan, West Virginia High School, where he was all-state in track and basketball, and also playing football and baseball. He signed a scholarship agreement to play basketball at Pikeville College for Coach Dale McNeely, finishing his career with longtime coach Paul Butcher, who also added him to starting rotation on their baseball team. As a senior, my father averaged nearly 15 points a game, and also batting .320 while playing 3 positions on the field in baseball. On the Kirk, his coach labeled him as the best defensive player he ever coached, and I can attest to that. I think I was probably 17 before I had a good look at the basket growing up. And he also said that that's one of his favorite things that his coach said about him was his defensive ability. He received his degree in business, a minor in PE, graduating with a 3.2 grade average. He spent 37 years with American Electric Power Company, retiring 2.5 years ago, allowing him to spend more time with his wife, 2 sons, his beautiful daughter, and his 4 grandchildren. Not only is he a great athlete, he's a great grandfather. Excuse me. I don't know who's more proud today, him or me. He's taught me everything that I know. And hopefully I have aspired to everything and he's hoped that I have. Without further ado, my father, Nathan Kirk.
Mr. Overton said we had a couple words, and I've got a couple. It took me 40 years to get here, so I'm going to say a couple. I appreciate that introduction. Both my sons and my daughter I think very much of, as you can tell. As I listened to the introduction, I was filled with a flood of emotion. I'm very honored and humbled to be here today. Ever since I received that call from Rick, 1,000 stories have been going through my mind, and I really didn't know where to start. But to be here with this great group of young athletes, is truly an honor. I didn't know where to begin, but I'm going to take a few minutes and try to share a couple of stories with you that tells you how I arrived at Pikeville College and who helped me along the way. And first and foremost, as you can appreciate, I have to thank a mother who did the nearly impossible. As a single parent, kept a family of 6 children together. Her parents, Nathan and Mary Atwood, would play a key role in that process, but between the 3 of them did a good job of keeping us all together and making sure we were in the right place at the right time. While we might not have had the best of everything, Mother always made sure we had clean clothes and something on the table to eat. And she also made sure we was in Sunday school on Sunday morning and Bible study on Wednesday night. And I guess you could say she also had another big helping hand in helping her raise those kids, and that was a good Lord. Didn't really realize how important God was in her life until I was gone and looked back and seen what a wonderful job that lady did. And I'm sure Mom's looking down right now smiling, awful proud of her baby boy. Thanks also to my lovely wife, family, and all my friends here today. I'll get a little better here in a second. Who's traveled a long way to share this day with me. Good times are fine, but if you can have good times with the people you love and the people that are close to you, it means that's that much more. And I really appreciate those people who have driven a long way to share this day with me. It's just very, very special. I got to mention a couple of people in the audience that I see here today. A former teammate of mine who was not only an awesome ball player,
He was also an awesome coach. Danny Adams taught me something early on. I mentioned to him when I saw him today. When I was making the transition from high school to college basketball, and if you played the sport, you know what I'm talking about. It becomes a very physical game. And Danny was trying to toughen me up, and he said, Nathan, he said, you're going to have to learn awful quick. He said, it's better to give than it is to receive. So it helped me toughen up a little bit to play basketball, and I really appreciated his friendship. For 40 years, we've known each other. Another young man that's in the audience that has known me since 1966, when I crossed the river from Kentucky into West Virginia to play basketball, a young man by the name of Roy Dameron, took to me and made me feel welcome, just like I was an old West Virginia hillbilly. And we've been friends for 47 years and never had a crossword, and I appreciate him being here and supporting me. I played grade school basketball, and I'm not going to go that long, but I played grade school basketball on the other side of the county over here, over on Blackberry Creek. You've heard of Blackberry Creek if you've listened to the Hatfields and McCoys, but I played there and through a series of events decided to play my high school basketball in West Virginia at Mate One High School, as Nate mentioned. Raised there on the Tug River, only about 3 miles from the high school, but no buses came across the river, obviously. So you can see me on school mornings with an armload of books and a gym bag, always playing 4 sports. I was never without a gym bag, and trying to get to school. Getting to school was no problem, because there's always people going to work. But coming back at night is where we had the difficulties, especially after the miners quit running, after the second shift was over. There was no cars that run, so I had to walk home. And I shared this with Rick earlier in another conversation that there was an infamous hanging tree, and this goes from true accounts, that I had to walk by from the border of West Virginia over into where I grew up in, the little place called McCarr. It was about a mile stretch, and to this day I attribute my quick feet to that mile I had to run. I never walked, I run for a solid mile. There was a special lady that I need to mention. She was a teacher. She was also our cheerleading sponsor, who, before today, only a few of my family members and some close friends knew about. This teacher helped me to be prepared to attend college, and let me tell you why. My senior year in high school basketball season got off to a pretty good start. We were undefeated for our first 10 games, and I was making a pretty solid contribution to our success at the time. And we were to travel to Bluefield, West Virginia that night. It was on a Friday night. This teacher came to me and one of my teammates and asked us if we were going to take the ACT test the next day. Well, not only had we not planned to take the test, but neither one of us could afford to take that test either because it cost $20 to take that test. She took 2 $20 bills from her purse, handed it to Greg Hatfield and myself, told us to be at the school the next morning at 7 o'clock. She had arranged transportation to Williamson, West Virginia, where we'd take that test. Well, it was a long day and a long night, but we made the test time the next day. And my point is, it took a very loving, caring, compassionate teacher to do what she did for Greg and myself. It made me eligible for college. I didn't really realize what Mrs. Robinson had done for us that day, or for Greg, as far as that goes. But when I think back to some of my high school experiences, and I really, truly realized what an awesome thing she did for us that day, it ultimately shaped my entire life. I've told many, many people over the years, over the last 40 years, when I came to Pikeville College, I was coming to play basketball, and an education happened in the process. A truly blessed thing to a very naive kid. Well, after Mrs. Robinson helped prepare us for the basic entry requirements, there's 2 other men I want to mention. Very instrumental in me coming to Pikeville. You'll recognize a couple of these names, at least one of them. Phillip L. We call him Ventuary over in Mate One, but he went by the name of Phillip L. Most people refer to him as Phil, but he was the dean of students here at the college at the time, a great athlete in his own right. And also my assistant principal, Jim Milmage. Mr. Vinciguerra lived only 3 houses up from our gymnasium there at Mate One. And he was a part-time basketball official. He called several of our JV games and went on in my senior year, called several of our varsity games. And again, it wasn't until later on that Mr. Vinciguerra told me about his efforts to arrange for the tryout with then head basketball coach Del McNeely. And he asked Jim Milmage to drive me and my teammate to Pikeville for the tryout. And Mr. Milmage, when I was a freshman, was the head basketball coach. he was very instrumental in helping, I won't say recruit, but helping me decide that Matewan was the place I needed to play basketball. Special day in two ways. First time I was at the county seat, and the first time my teammate, Greg, and I will meet a future teammate named Wallace Dillon, who's also in the Hall of Fame here. Well, the tryout went pretty well. Coach McNeely that same day, that same afternoon after the tryout, and we were all dressed, come out and said he wanted to offer all three of us, Greg, Wally, myself, a letter of intent to play basketball. Well, that picture was in the Williamson Daily News sports page the next day, and the little kid with the fast hands and the quick feet, who the local sports writer had nicknamed Captain Kirk, was on his way to college. And some of you may know, and I'll share this with you in case you don't, we've since lost both Greg and Wally, those two guys that tried out with me that day. And another teammate of mine, I'll share with you, that I thought very much of also was Johnny Mounts. We've lost all three of those guys from our starting rotation that year. Couple special events, and I don't know why. I told Danny and my good buddy Gary McCoy when we was preparing for this thing here, I don't know why these two things come to my mind as things I remember. They weren't really good memories at the time, but they have become memories, and at the time it was very significant. We had three ball players from the Louisville area. Coach McNeely thought it was necessary. I say necessary, thought it was an opportunity, I guess, that we get to play the freshman team at the University of Louisville Cardinals. At that time, in 1969, the NCAA required schools to have freshman teams, and we had a very good freshman team. Well, the trip to Louisville didn't turn out real well. I know we didn't win, but we also had three players from West Virginia, myself included, and Wally. So he thought it was necessary that we go down and play Marshall University freshmen. Well, that trip went about as well as that wonderful trip to Louisville did. I remember having to guard a fella at Marshall University that night who was a freshman also from Mullins, West Virginia. This guy also went on to lead Marshall to a place in the NIT tournament later in his career. And it's also that same fellow that coaches the team in Los Angeles called the Lakers by the name of Mike D'Antoni, but he probably doesn't remember that experience that night as well as I do, but it stayed with me a long time. Coach McNeely resigned on her freshman year, and you heard his name a few minutes ago. I think Paul Butcher, the athletic director at the time, took over basketball. Coach Butcher was not only a good basketball mind, but he was also a man of God. And over the next 3 years, during the good times and the tough times, I never heard the man say one curse word. I did see him turn several shades of red from time to time, but he was a perfect role model, perfect gentleman. I got to know Coach Butcher very well, especially my senior year. And as I stayed off campus, he would stop and pick me up as he's going on scouting trips, and made those long, lonely trips down the Mountain Parkway into the Lexington area. And we'd share good stories and times and talk about a game plan for the next time we played that specific team. I wasn't a prolific scorer during my career, but one thing I'd always count on during the games was that I always drew a pretty tough, if not the toughest, guardian assignment from the other team. And when the clock was counting down near the end of the game, I knew I was going to be on the floor. Coach Butcher knew he could always count on one thing coming from me, and that was giving him 100% of the time. And as I've probably watched thousands of games over the last 40 years, I can reminisce with great pride knowing that I was in the close games at the end, and my coach knew I had something he could always count on, my heart. I read stories today about these coaches who are putting these monitors on these kids, checking their heart rates, checking their blood pressure to see if these kids are giving them a 100% effort on the floor. Well, I suggest that these coaches, they don't have the right kind of monitor to measure the part of the heart that determines the love of the game. And the willingness it took to do whatever is necessary to come up with a loose ball, get that rebound, and make it stop. Although records sometimes don't reflect these type of efforts, I played with a group of guys who would do what it took for Coach Butcher. I was proud to be a Pikeville College Bear then. I have remained a loyal fan and supporter of Pikeville College in all sports, and I remain a loyal University of Pikeville fan today. And on behalf of my loving family, I appreciate the honor today. Thank you very much.
message better than I did.
It's indeed an honor to be here today. 14 years ago, we started cross country at Pikeville College, now University of Pikeville. Ron Dameron hired me, and I went to Cordia High School because they had the #1 runner in the state of Kentucky. I didn't realize they had the #2 runner too. So I took a college van to Cordia. I brought them over for a campus visit. Before that day was over with, Pikeville College had the #1, #2 runner in the state of Kentucky on the team. The guy we're going to introduce today is the #2 runner. The #1 runner, he decided to get married. So Phillip then became my #1 runner after his second year. Also, Phillip was 2-time academic all-conference at Pikeville, and he was the team captain. And my first couple years coaching cross country, I was a basketball player. I'm not a cross country coach. So I leaned on Phillip because, winning the state a couple years, him and Red, they knew everything about cross country. So I took their role model. They are the foundation of the cross country program at Pikeville College and the University of Pikeville. Phillip, I would like to have you come forward and say a few words. Thank you.
I am very honored, and I'll keep it really, really short. I am thankful for the opportunity that I've had here. I thank God, and I really want to dedicate it to my brother who passed away not too long ago, Bentley Mosley, and I'll keep it very short. Thank you all.
Now, I've been waiting 10 years to get to say what I want to say about this guy right here. But I'm going to leave all that for our personal conversation. Tennis has been a program here that's kind of come and gone 2 or 3 times in the time that since we started it back a long time ago. We've had a lot of success through the years at different times. We're going through one of those right now, I believe. But about 10 or 12, 15 years ago, things really started to turn around in our tennis program. John Kitchen was a player here, and for a lot of his time here, John was the tennis team. He was the only player we had. We'd still go play tennis when he was a student athlete here. And when he came on as a basketball coach, we instantly made him the tennis coach. And if you know anything about John Kitchen, you know if he's going to do something, he's going to want to win at it. So John went out with the help of his brother, found a lot of phenomenal student athletes to bring here. And one of them is Rodrigo Puebla. Rodrigo came here from Chile, was a junior college student in Alabama when we got him, had 2 phenomenal seasons here, was first team all KIAC as a junior in both singles and in doubles. In his senior year, we joined the Mid-South Conference, and he was honorable mention in singles and all conference in doubles again, and led the program to 2 straight trips to the national tournament. Rodrigo then, after he graduated, we made him the coach of the women's program here. And Rod is a lot like John. If he's going to do something, he's going to want to win. So he coached the team here in 2003, was named the Mid-South Conference and the Regional Coach of the Year, had recruited himself the girl who was the League Player of the Year, had 3 first-team all-conference players and 2 first-team doubles pairs in the conference, and that team reached the NAIA quarterfinals. And I'll tell you a quick story about what happened that day down in I believe we were in Peachtree City, Georgia. The year before that, we'd been there, and we're ahead in tennis. You played 9 games. We were ahead 4-3 late in the game on the men's side, and it got down to 2 courts there, and we lost on one of them, tied it at 4. The 5th match, the deciding match, was going on this one particular court, and there were a couple things happened that didn't go our way. This was in the national semifinals, and I think John and I to this day will tell you that there might have been a call or two that probably didn't go the way they should have gone that day. The next year when we got in the quarterfinals with the women, and Rodrigo was our coach, we were ahead a lot like that. Match wound up tied. Rodrigo and I looked up and realized that the deciding game was being played on the very same court that we had lost on, shall we say, the year before. I'll tell you this much. We might not have hung a championship banner with these guys. I never had more fun. I never was more proud to be a Pikeville College Bear than when I traveled with this tennis team. This team was second to none. The language barrier that we had with them being international students was more than made up for with the love we had for each other and the love they shared with each other. I'll tell you one last thing about Rod, and I'll let him talk. When Rodrigo became the coach here, we did have a lot of international students. Rodrigo had a couple of rules, though, with that team. When you got on the van to leave to go on a trip, you spoke English. Rodrigo felt like that because they were in America and odds were good, if they were here, they were going to stay here, they needed to know how to speak the language. And also, when we would stop at gas stations and it'd come time to fill up with gas or to clean the windows or whatever, the girls had a rotation of those things. He said if they're going to live here, they've got to know how to do these sort of things. That's what a coach does right there. A coach teaches on the floor and off the floor. That's how a successful coach gets it done. It is my privilege and my honor to introduce to you our new Hall of Famer, Rodrigo Puebla.
Thanks, Rick. I don't have nothing like 10 pages, so don't want to look bad here. I guess we got you fluent in Spanish for a couple of years.
Those weren't the words I needed to know, though.
Yeah, plenty of those. It's an honor to be here. I just want to say thanks to President Patton, Reggie, Overton, the Hall of Fame committee. Our former athletic director, Ron, kind of believed in me, gave me a little more scholarship than John was giving me. And former President Hall Smith and his wife, she was great with their student athletes. She helped us, some of our girls didn't have things to, she'll take them to Walmart, she'll do a lot of things for us, so hopefully if they're around. Thanks. Can't tell enough about Rick. We always been in touch. He sent me a text message, where you are. I switch every 2 years. I'm somewhere else in the country, getting a new job, but he's always keeping up with me. And 2 professors, Gene Lovell, took me a while to pass his economic class. And Howard, still trying to hate that accounting. I'm still not good at it. And last one, Brigida LaPresto. I believe she's still here. She made me take that English class 3 times. And she kind of told me that, well, if you want to get better in English, right, then you have to take it again and take it again. So I passed it last time, so I can, I didn't want to be in probation, so I had to pass it. But I still have nightmares about that lady. She's a good friend of mine. And, it's been different, I left here 2003. It's a lot change. Things are going, things, it seems like they're going in the right way. You got buildings all over the place now. We had 4 little tennis courts, and then we practiced, and we had 2 teams going. It's just so different in what the community is doing for this college and the athletic program. I just remember 15 years ago, my friend Hunter and I were coming up on a visit, and he's from Louisville, and he was like, I don't know if we can make it here. We're coming on an official visit. And we talked to John Kitchen, and he was like, no, Pikeville is the greatest thing ever. Just come up, you stay here, we'll give you the best scholarship. Anyway, so we come up, and I'm telling Hunter, we see these people, and we leave the next day. We kept driving around. Applebee's wasn't even there when we came. It was just Walmart and the hotel. I don't even know if it's here anyways. But, you know, I told Hunter, I said, like, we'll talk to the coaches, we meet the administration, and we just leave. You know, I stayed here for 6 years. It made a huge impact, me being here, the people, the community. And, you know, they kind of make you feel at home. And, you know, we go back to Hall's, you know, president and his wife back in the day. They made us feel at home, and then that was a huge plus for me to stay here. I don't think where I am right now coaching, they always look at me and say, where'd you graduate? Eastern Kentucky, you know, Pikeville College, and University of Pikeville. And, but I just want to mention that, you know, if it wasn't for this place, I will not be, I'll be here, you know, be there where I am right now. And, you know, last thing, but not, you know, last person I want to say thank you is to Joyce, you know, John's mother. She was kind of our mother for us. You know, our budget wasn't big back then, and we only had one shirt, and we ended up having a pretty good team. So every time that, you know, we'd go to a conference and we'd play a match, and we actually won it, then we didn't have equipment for the next day. So she would go down in the laundry room and do all, you know, she did all our laundry. Then we won the next day, but then she had to go back and wash them again. So then we ended up staying there for 4 or 5 days, and, you know, every day we had a brand new equipment washed. So I want to thank you guys for everything, and just, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
This is a great day for the University of Pikeville, and I see a lot of student athletes out in the crowd, and I know you guys hear a lot of stories about their athletic competitions and experiences they had at the university, but the most important thing that all 5 individuals sitting up on the stage got, they received their degree from University of Pikeville. So it's great to have the stories, compete in the competitions, compete in the games, but remember, education is the most important thing. You were student athletes. You're a student first, and I know you guys do a great job, but you'll hear a lot of stories. Remember, that degree is the most important thing. This is truly a special day for the university, but it's a special day for me. I had the privilege of being the pitching coach for Chad Roberts at Pikeville High School. He's also known as Rudy, and I'm not sure the reason why he's known as Rudy from Pikeville High School, but I always called him Rudy. And Rudy always had a very awkward delivery as far as pitching mechanics. And people kept on coming to me and said, Gary, you're the pitching coach. You need to change his mechanics. You need to throw more over the top, not so much on the side and that type of thing. But Rudy kept on winning games at Pikeville High School. And my Mamaw Adams always taught me something. Don't mess with something if it's working. Well, Rudy ended up that year at Pikeville High School 12-0 on the mound in high school season and first team All-State. So I'm glad to listen to my Mamaw Adams on that one. But his success continued to the University of Pikeville as well. He's remembered as a very fierce competitor. He would do anything the team needed in order to win the game. His last game in the conference tournament, he pitched 15 innings, the equivalent of 2 complete games in one sitting, to save the pitching for the rest of the conference tournaments for the team. Coach LeMaster was in attendance. Try to go and remove Rudy from the game to get a new pitcher in. He said, Coach, why you want to take me out? We need to save the pitchers for the rest of the tournament. Always thinking about his team. So it is my pleasure today to welcome to the Hall of Fame Mr. Chad Roberts.
All right, I got a few notes here on my phone. More for you all than me, because I could ramble on for hours if I don't pull this up. So. All right, thank you so much, Coach Justice. He was very integral in my development as a pitcher, transition from playing second base and catcher to pitching in high school. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I'd be here today. He definitely taught me how to throw a changeup. If it wasn't for that changeup, My arm probably would have needed reconstructive surgery many years sooner than that. So thank you very much, Coach. Oh, my trip to Pikeville College. It was a long journey. I moved here from Texas, and when I did, I remember one of the things that we used to always do as a family was come to Pikeville College basketball games. And when I used to come to the basketball games, I was in awe of many great athletes, Bart Williams, Jody Thompson, John Kitchen. These guys, when I was young, were like bigger than life. I thought it was great getting to talk to these guys after games and halftime, sneaking down to the Hall of Fame and reading people's plaques, and never thinking that one day that I would end up here as well. So it's a great accomplishment. It's a great honor, and I thank the committee and all the administration at the college for this honor. Pikeville College wasn't my first choice as a university. My freshman year, I decided to go to Georgetown College. Insert booze here, that's fine. The mountains, I was a little claustrophobic, needed to get out, see what else was out there. Went out there, it wasn't necessarily home. So I was a little bit nervous. Coach LeMaster had offered me a scholarship as a senior in high school. I regretfully turned it down and took one at Georgetown. Extremely nervous to make that phone call to Coach and ask him if he had a spot for me, and he welcomed me back with open arms, and I greatly appreciate that. So when I came to Pikeville College, I not only spent another 3 years here, I ended up staying 5 because I enjoyed it so much. So 6 years in college, they kept trying to push me out. I kept trying to find new degrees to stay here. So thankfully, I did walk out of here with 2 degrees and 2 minors that laid the foundation for me for a lifetime, professionally and personally. They always say that no matter what accomplishments you make, someone helped you out. That's pretty much almost fully true, except for the fact that there's not just somebody. With me being here, there are a lot of people that helped me get here, and I just want to take a few minutes to thank some of those people here. First and foremost, my parents. They sacrificed so many things for my brother and I, not only athletically, but in life as well. My dad, from an early age, before I could even speak, was taking me to Texas Ranger baseball games, and then still took me even when I could speak and would ask questions that probably didn't make a lot of sense to him, or he got a chuckle driving back from the ballpark on why I was asking these questions. Anytime I wanted to catch, anytime I wanted to do that, even if he worked 12 hours, he'd take the time to come back out, throw with me, help develop me. So my first coach in a long line of coaches was my father, and I greatly appreciate that. Next is my mom. She had the privilege or the bad luck of having 2 boys who were obsessed with baseball. She didn't have a daughter where she got to dress up in dresses and all that, but she had to drag a lawn chair to many different baseball games all over the country, and she didn't think twice about doing it. Both of my parents sacrificed many things. Made sure I had equipment, made sure I was able to get to where I needed to get to. My mom, thank you so much. I couldn't have been here without it. Her baseball IQ is probably second to none out of anybody that I know sitting through so many games. She would ask pitch selection and why people made certain changes and didn't agree with it. So I greatly appreciate both my mom and my dad. Next, I'd like to thank my brother. Probably, in my opinion, the best baseball player in our family. He was always there for me for encouragement. I had multiple surgeries while I was in college. Got discouraged multiple times on trying to come back from those. Thought that the mountain was bigger than it was, and he always encouraged me to keep trying, to keep getting there because he had faith in me. He went to Georgetown College. You can boo on that as well if you'd like. We never got to compete against each other except one time, kind of unfair. I was a senior in high school. He was in 8th grade. On our high school baseball team, we had a maroon and white game. I was an 8th grader. He came up. I didn't take it easy on him, threw him 3 curveballs, knew he couldn't hit it, and sent him back on his way. But in college, while I was at Georgetown, he was a pitcher there as well. I think him and I both kind of wanted to go head-to-head, but my mom intervened and made sure that that didn't happen because she would have had a panic attack, and they probably would have had to take her away on a stretcher. And I think Coach LeMaster and Coach Hagan at Georgetown wanted to avoid that. So my brother, thank you so much for pushing me. Thank you for always being there and being a huge supporter in my life. Next, I got to thank Coach LeMaster. Had the honor of playing for him 3 years, under him for 5. Took me my 5 years to play those 3, but thank you so much, sir, for everything that you did for us. He was an asset to this university, brought his Major League Baseball experience, taught that to many, many people, and you can ask any one of us that played baseball the lessons that he taught. He taught us to play the game the right way, he taught us to play hard, but not only did he teach us about the game of baseball, he also taught us about the game of life. He was a huge person in my transition from a young adult to a man. Many of those life lessons that he taught still are with me today. I still think about him on a regular basis, and I greatly appreciated it. And like Coach Justice said, there were times that, I think a few times in that game that we went 22 innings, that he thought about making a change and came to me and asked how I was. I told him I'd let him know when I was finished if that was all right with him. He said absolutely. So he let me keep going as many as I could. And finally, after 15, I told him I think I had enough and it was time for somebody else to have a little fun out there on the mound. So I stepped away. He later got thrown out a couple innings later and forced me to put my jersey top back on and take the ice off my shoulder and my elbow and go coach a few innings. So my Pikeville College coaching career, I'm 0 for 1. I'll take it though. But thank you so much, sir. I greatly appreciate everything that you've done for me, baseball, and teaching me the game of life. Thank you so much. The next I got to thank are my teammates. Not only it's college athletics, you become more than just teammates. It's a brotherhood. These people you see more than your family. You see more than anybody else. And if you're going to be around people as much as you are, you better get used to liking each other. We found a way, thankfully. We all enjoyed each other. It was all a brotherhood, many times traveling on long road trips. And, those guys were always there for me. Every time we crossed those lines, we were there together. We always had each other's back. And even now, we don't cross those lines together anymore, but in the game of life, those guys are always there for me. I want to call out a few in particular. I got to call out 2 of my catchers. I was kind of a prima donna and like to always pitch to the same catcher, and thankfully I had 2 great ones in Timmy Baldwin and Rafael Marcano. And as any catcher will say, there's no good pitcher is without a good catcher, and all catchers would probably be the first ones to tell you that. And those guys were great. Those guys were students of the game. Those guys, we were always on the same page. Whatever they put down for the most part, I felt was like the right pitch as well, and so we were always, working in sync together like that. And I wouldn't be as successful as I was without those 2 guys back behind the plate. And then third is somebody that's very special to me, Travis Hall. Not only was he a teammate of mine, he was a brother. He was also my roommate on the road. I know he'd be here if he was still around, but tragically he was killed by a lady driving under the influence on July 7th, 2007. Travis embodied exactly what the University of Pikeville is. It's a family. He had that school spirit. He came from Ashland, fell in love with Pikeville. As an insider, I always knew about Pikeville and knew what kind of place it was and how not only is the college a family, but the community is a family as well. And you can ask almost anybody that comes here from out of town, they feel the same way, that the community accepts them for who they are and appreciates all the things that they do for this community. Travis was great. I'll tell a quick story about Travis. In that 22-inning game, it seemed like in extra innings, he always came up with runners in scoring position. And we were the home team, so I always thought he was going to drive in that winning run. We'd be done. We can finally get back on the bus and be done with this. I can shower, get some rest, get some food. And he was always clutch in those situations. But you threw up a big O for that day. I think he left a small village on the base path, and which is very uncharacteristic of him. And even later on, before he left, I always gave him a hard time about that. But what kind of person he was, that whole bus ride, he annoyed me so much by trying to keep saying, I'm sorry. It's like, look, it's over and done with. I know he tried and did his best, but we were roommates, and so that long bus ride it felt long, but from Georgetown to Frankfort, he apologized. Dinner, he apologized. Every time he opened his mouth, I knew it was coming out of it. I told him, stop, I just want to go to bed, and that's it. And I remember how Travis was. It was at 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, I feel somebody shaking me. And I was like, are you kidding me? The hotel better be on fire, and we better be ready to run out this door. And he said, I can't go to sleep until I tell you I'm sorry one more time. So that's what kind of guy he was and what kind of guy my teammates were. They always had each other's back. They always felt bad when we didn't accomplish the things that we wanted to accomplish. And, you know, those guys are people that I can always count on all throughout my life. And then my teammates were there for me when I had another tragic loss of somebody that was very close to me when I was 21 years old. And to show what kind of family they were, they made sure that I always was never alone, that I always had somebody to talk to, a shoulder to cry on when I needed to. And for that, I'll be eternally thankful. Pikeville College, University of Pikeville, is a special place. It not only laid the foundation for me athletically, but it also instilled many great values that I take today in my professional life. You know, this is a great place to get an education. It was a jumping off point, and I can't be more thankful that this was the place that I truly became a man. And as I walked across the stage to earn my degree here in 2005, you know, I came here a boy and left here a man. And through these people, I want to thank everybody at this university. I know there's a lot more people that played a part in me being here, and I will thank everybody personally at the time. But we could be here until the boys tip off if I had the time to thank everybody. So I'll just leave it at that and just say thank you to everybody, and I appreciate it.
Well, it's about 10, 11 years ago. Pikeville College then was getting ready to start our inaugural football season. So there's a lot of excitement in the air on campus and around town about these football players coming in. So I'm down in my office one afternoon in the gym, and as kids do from time to time, you hear the door open up, and you hear kids coming in and bouncing balls, and they go in and start shooting around and playing and whatever. So I'm sitting in my office and hear the door open up to the gym, and I hear a ball bouncing around, and so I'm sitting in there, and all of a sudden I start hearing this yep, 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 clank, yep, 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 clank, and I thought, what in the world is going on in there? So I got up and walked in the gym, and well, there's a bunch of our new football players in there playing basketball, and one of them happened to be Shep, and yep, 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 and that was the clanking was Shep shooting. And I thought, good God, I thought, if he plays football like he plays basketball, we are in trouble. But 189 tackles later and 121 solo tackles later, we know why he was here. And I thank God it wasn't to play basketball. He was here to play football, and play football he did. One of the great football players we've had, and actually one of the great people that we've had up here. He's always has a smile on his face. He's fun to be around, and never for a loss of words. When I walked in, I think it was Stephanie came up and said, Shep didn't know he was supposed to talk. I said, since when? Since when is that a big deal to Shep? So with further ado, little girl, get up here and do what you do best.
Well, I was going to pretend like I had a speech, but now I can't do that. No, but this is special. This is really special, and I've been waiting for a long time to get it. I've been waiting a long time. So I know how everybody here, they singled out everybody. I can't do that because I'll be here for days, years, you know what I'm saying? And then somebody will call me or send me a Facebook message that you didn't say my name. You remember when I did this for you? So, for all friends, family, I appreciate everything. If you know you did something for me, you know I appreciate it. And might be times where I'm up here talking, I'm sitting there smiling. Of course, I'm a happy camper, and I love to smile, love to have fun. My little talk from Pikeville College is what I would call it, UPIKE. We came up here in 2000 is when I graduated, and we had it was hard times. Like, you was about to the point to where you be like, man, did I really make this decision? But, you know, I mean, with the community, with all the help, with all the support from everybody, we become better. Like, we become family. Start getting more things for football. I remember when we first came up here, we didn't really have all the gear, so we had to have practice shorts. Okay. Remember that, it's just 2000, not back in the day. You would put on your practice short, they'll give them to you. And if you wore briefs, boxers, your boxer was longer than your shorts. So here you out here, you know, you everybody looking, laughing at each other. You know what I'm saying? Just having fun, but loving the game that they get to play. You know, I mean, you go to different places. I'm from North Carolina. And, you know, I came up here, and everybody was like, well, the recruits was like, oh, yeah, it's this, it's that, you know. And they, you know, I guess they wanted to get you here. But anyway, I am glad that I got to come here, and I greatly appreciate all the professors, all the ones that sat back in the back, didn't get to go home, because here I'm knocking on your door like, hey, listen, I ain't get that last problem. Like, or, you know, I need this extra help. And, you know, a lot of people say, you know, there's a lot of things that inspired them to get a degree, and I really think that it was football. Like, because if you don't have the grades, you can't play football. Like, you know, and that's why I was always, even Mr. Howard sitting there, Mr. Howard, listen, hey, I need this help. I can't do it. Going to other students, you know, hey, listen, help me with this. I need this. But I do appreciate everybody, and with the help of everybody here, no, I'm not married for everybody. Everybody asks me, like, you done got married yet? No, I'm not married yet. But I do have my son, Malachi Sheppard, and that's my life. He is who I live for. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, it's my son. I love him. But I want to thank all y'all for coming out here. And, you know, students, you know what I'm saying, and athletes and basketball players, all y'all that came out. I used to be in y'all same shoes. I used to see him like, we got to go to this boring stuff. Like, you know. And then, you know, but now with me being able to look up here and look out to y'all, it's very appreciated. It's very appreciated. If you look, I mean, yes, it's 5 of us going in, but look at the thing. Look who's out there. It's mostly y'all. Like, and I mean, it's really appreciated. I mean, you probably could hear everything echoing if everybody wasn't here. You know, but I've met a lot of great people here. Had some bad situations, had some good situations. But, I mean, over it all, you know what I'm saying, I appreciate everything. Appreciate y'all for giving me the opportunity to come into the Hall of Fame. And if anybody know me, y'all know I'm appreciated for everything I do. Everything. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for coming. I'm going to say a couple of things. I'm very proud of all of y'all. Y'all can say Pikeville College as long as you want to. I mean, you're what this is all about, and you're good role models for the young people that are here today. And I know it's quite a few student athletes here, so please stand. Student athletes, please stand. All student athletes, please stand. Thank you. You guys are why we're here, and I'll tell you a good story about these guys. We're right on par, and Howard, you can attest to this. Their GPAs, for you guys sitting out there, the current student athletes, are right on par with our non-student athletes, and I'm more proud of that than the championships that we aspire to achieve. So I'm going to clap for you guys. Thanks for that. We do have a basketball game, 2 basketball games, men and women at 2, men at 4 at the Expo Center. And I don't know if you've been to the Expo Center, but it's a palace, and it's something to see. And I hope you and your families can go to the game today. And there'll be a little some food and a little reception after my closing remarks, which you know me, I'm not at a loss of words, but I'm not going to be long-winded here today. But I would be remiss if I did not say a few words about a special young man here today that's meant so much to Pikeville and the region. Governor Paul Patton will be stepping aside as president, as you know, in July, but he'll remain here, and he'll tell you he's not going to go away. We can't get rid of him. He's going to be still the chancellor and doing many things to help James Hurley, our incoming president, be successful. So Governor Patton, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for all that you've done for Pikeville and our region. Rick, you got anything else? All right, we're finished. Some food outside. Thanks, guys.
Okay.